Yesterday, I put out a video discussing LEVAN's pronation lift. LEVAN lifted a pretty similar weight as DEVON, but he made it look super easy. It was looking like LEVAN is already better than DEVON at his own lift. But right after this, DEVON put out a response video. Let's take a look at the clip.
Pushing a bit. So 151 for pronator.
Easy, easy.
I'm assuming that there isn't a coincidence here, as DEVON decided to post a lift immediately after LEVAN posted his video. And I'll be honest, that was really easy for DEVON. This 151 for DEVON was way easier than a lot of the other lifts we've seen him do. Something I talked about in the last video is how DEVON looks like he's trying really hard even when he's not actually trying that hard. But this lift looked pretty easy even for DEVON. He didn't quite shake as much as he normally does, although he did have to cheat by turning his hat around backwards, so I don't know if that counts or not. Now, a lot of people have been talking about how LEVAN didn't do DEVON's lift correctly, and there are a few differences. Firstly, DEVON's wrist is slightly kicked back when he does the lift, but I personally don't see this making much of a difference as far as the difficulty of the lift itself goes. This is because the strap is going more down DEVON's wrist anyway. He's talked about how sometimes he likes to slightly kick his wrist back when he's trying to rise over the top of someone, so this could make sense. But I don't think that it's going to make the lift way harder. Another difference between DEVON and LEVAN's lift is that DEVON's forearm looks like it's at a steeper angle to me, which normally would make it a bit easier. But this could just be the camera angle making it look steeper than it really is. Now, one difference that I think is pretty notable is how DEVON is incorporating a higher degree of external shoulder rotation into his lift, whereas LEVAN is pretty much using straight up elbow flexion from the looks of it. And this will probably work well for DEVON, as it should translate a little better for his King's move. But it also tends to make the lift slightly harder in my experience. So what does all of this mean? Do these differences really matter? I personally don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. LEVAN might not be nailing the form absolutely perfectly, but if he is making it easier on himself somehow, I think it's only by a couple percentage points. Now, there is one more difference in the effectiveness of these lifts that is very important, and that is the arm length of both athletes. Now, I had just been assuming that DEVON's arm is longer than LEVAN's arm since DEVON is so tall, but a lot of people were commenting and saying that their arm length is actually pretty much the same. And it was difficult for me to find the exact measurements that would be useful in this case. In measuring the difficulty of these lifts, the distance between the elbow and the fingertip isn't going to be as important. What we really need is the distance between the elbow and the thumb, and maybe the distance between elbow and wrist. Okay, so after all the rambling, which lift is more impressive? To me, I think LEVAN's lift is likely more impressive in this case. LEVAN is just wrapping the strap way higher on his hand than DEVON is. It looks like DEVON's strap is pretty far down his forearm, and this is going to significantly reduce the pressure being applied onto DEVON's elbow flexor using the same weight. So for me, LEVAN's is probably a bit more impressive. However, it may be that DEVON has another 20 pounds in him. Who knows? It's just so difficult to tell based off of his expressions. But let me know what you guys think about this. Do you think that LEVAN's lift or DEVON's lift is going to have a more effective application to the table?